Good morning. What can you expect if you go out for a trip that involves a flight, a rental car, and a hotel these days? But first, I broke my streak yesterday. Until yesterday, I had done 86 daily Facebook posts in a row. I missed for a good reason though. Yesterday, I was working with a client, and that's pretty significant for a number of reasons, but I won't get into those right now. I do plan to get back on track with 2 videos today, and then I'm going to pretend that the streak is intact. Today's Saturday, and Saturday is travel day, and I'm going to share my experience with this week's traveling to the client location. So here's a little background first. Pre-COVID, I was traveling at least a couple of weeks every month. My engagements are usually 2 to 5 business days each. Because business had been pretty good for me, I've been in Delta's Platinum or Diamond frequent flyer status for years. I'm also at the top level for both Hilton and Marriott, and I'm at the top level for Hertz. Use them a lot. I also have the kind of American Express card that includes membership to the Delta Sky Club, so I have access to all of their lounges, plus the Priority Pass lounge network that gets me access to hundreds of lounges around the world. So as a business traveler, I am spoiled rotten. So here's my first recommendation for you. Pick your favorites, airline, hotel, car rental place, and stick with them. For the airline, I've used Delta for as long as I can remember. Every time I've flown with American and United since, I've had a less than optimal experience. Sometimes for convenience though, I will fly Southwest. Their timing is usually pretty good and they've got a lot of direct flights. For the hotel, I first picked Hilton because there was this nice embassy suites that I liked to stay in whenever I worked in St. Louis. That was kind of the big driver back then. I'm also a timeshare owner with Hilton Grand Vacations Club, so that keeps me in diamond status pretty much no matter what I do. But I tried Marriott, and I really love their properties. I also went through their travel agent training program, and that taught me a ton about how they manage their different brands, so I just really like Marriott as well. With the rental car, I picked Hertz because USAA has this awesome discount that works with them, and they're really easy at the airports. Now, I've had good and bad experiences with them, but they're usually pretty easy, so I stick with them. I did get mad at them a couple of months ago for leaving me stranded at an airport after their last shuttle bus ran once, but trying to find anybody who does as well as they do consistently is just not easy and very time consuming. All right, so back to my experiences this week. For the flight, you can expect airports to be at about 30% of the crowds that you experienced pre-COVID. That means lines are short. The TSA pre-check line was really no faster than the normal line, but it has the benefits of you get to keep your shoes on, you don't have to take all the crap out of your backpack, and if you don't have that, you got to pull everything out and take your clothes off and all that stuff. On Delta has first class cabins on most planes now, and because of my status, I'm always near the top of the upgrade list, so like I said, I'm spoiled. They're also loading planes with about half the number of people. On my flights, first class had a 1-seat, 2-seat configuration, and they were only putting one person in the 2-seat side. So the rest of the plane was 2 and 2, and again, they just had one in each side, so unless you wanted to sit with a loved one, you didn't have anybody sitting next to you. And that was pretty nice. At the airport, now I was in 3 different airports coming and going this time. Columbus and Hartford, not necessarily major markets, and their airports are relatively small, so most of the stores and restaurants in both of those were closed because there's just not enough demand to support the cost of keeping them open. You can expect to have to go a little out of your way to get a snack or a drink. In Detroit, it's a major hub for Delta. And pre-COVID, I swear you couldn't walk 15 feet without having to change direction a little bit to avoid bumping into somebody. So yesterday, which was a Friday evening, where before tons of business travelers would be crowding the bar stools and lounges trying to make it home after a busy week, the airport was a ghost town. Now, Detroit has an internal train that runs in Terminal A that usually runs constantly along the 2-mile stretch from Gate 1 to Gate 78. It was closed. It wasn't operating. There are 4 Sky Clubs in Detroit, but they're only operating 1. On the plus side, everything was spotless. Everything was spotlessly clean, and there was hand sanitizer everywhere, and everyone, except for a few pilots that I saw, complied with the mask wearing order. Yes, in all the airports. Once you're inside and on the plane, the entire flight, masks are required. They allow you to remove them to eat or drink, but they'll gently remind you to keep it on. On arrival in Hartford, I had to stop at a health desk that they had set up on the way to baggage claim. There they show a map of the U.S. with states that are colored red or green, and if you're from a green state, you're good to go. You can come on in. If it's red, though, there's another couple of additional steps. They ask several health-related questions you have to answer. Ohio was green there, so I was good, but Ohio was red in Massachusetts. So they required a negative COVID test result from a sample less than 72 hours prior to arrival. Fortunately, I did that. I was good to go. Negative test as of Monday, so very happy about that. For rental car service with Hertz, in most airports they have this President's Circle area of upgraded cars that I usually get to pick from. At Hartford they had a convertible Mustang that I could have gotten, but I usually stick to more utilitarian cars. I guess I'm just boring that way. So I picked an Ultimate. I should have gotten the convertible though, because the trees were changing color and the hour-plus drive that I had from the client back to the airport would have been beautiful with that top down. Live and learn. All the cars are sanitized, and Hertz puts a big yellow sticker over the edge of the driver's door, so you can see that no one has been in the car that you've chosen since they cleaned it out. So I thought that was a nice touch, just a little extra confidence. The hotel this time, the hotel I chose was the Hampton Inn in Auburn, Massachusetts. I picked it because I had two different facilities to go to during this visit, and this was sort of centrally located, I guess. Hamptons are, of course, a Hilton property, and I've stayed at this particular Hampton a few times. This time it was a little bit cheaper than the Fairfield Inn by Marriott. It was just around the corner, so I picked it. Hilton has signs everywhere to remind you that masks are required whenever you're out of your room, pretty much. The room was spotless. It too had a seal on the door saying so. But what I missed the most is the breakfast area. This time there was no breakfast area. There wasn't even any coffee. Hampton usually has, it's not a fancy thing, but it's a hot breakfast that you can get for free. Great value piece, which is why Hampton is pretty attractive. But now, not even any free coffee. That just blew me away. I did have an in-room, 1 cup at a time coffee maker, but before COVID, they had like 3 varieties of coffee out there. They had French vanilla creamers. I always loved it. Now, I don't miss the crowds, and I don't particularly like having to wear the mask, but I like spreading the virus a whole lot less, so I'm happy to wear it. I miss the convenience of the buffets in like the hotel and the Sky Club, but I understand the precautions taken. Now, in the Sky Club, while they don't have a buffet anymore, they still had plenty of food and snacks, but everything was individually wrapped now. They also had bartenders who had to, where normally it was self-service, they had to prepare your individual drink, even if it was a soft drink. When you're a frequent flyer, you learn that the most important travel accessory that you can have is a good sense of humor. Because I don't care where you are, where you're going, things happen. Flights get canceled or changed. Passengers are dicks. The car you want isn't available. A million little things go wrong. But with a sense of humor, you can smile and roll with everything. I still love traveling. I love airports. I love all the people going all those different places. One of my favorite things is I love walking past the gates in Detroit, where all those big planes are getting ready to fly to those international destinations. And as I walk by, I always wish I were on those instead of going where I'm going. Traveling is one of those sweet rewards that we get to give ourselves. I'll be very happy once things are safe again. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.